everyone. My name is Luz, and I am the Leadership Fellow for the Front-End Track at WWCode. And today we will interview Marilyn Tyfting. She is the Chief Corporate Officer at TELUS International. She oversees a multidisciplinary team that brings together the key parts of the business that touches people every day to build the best overall employee experience. She is based in Vancouver, in Canada, and lives with her husband and 2 children. And she's an active member of the President's Group for Inclusion and Employment, helping in making British Columbia the most progressive jurisdiction in Canada for people with disabilities. Marilyn, your profile is so amazing and inspiring. You have forged a career for about 13 years now at TELUS International. Can you tell us more about your career journey?
Sure. Hi, Luz. Very excited to be here and to have the conversation with you. And I'm happy to start with a little bit of background on my career. So it's amazing to me that I've actually hit 13, 14 years with TELUS International. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. And my journey, I think, has been unique over time. When I started with TELUS and TELUS International, my role was really primarily focused on people and culture, on learning and development. But over that period of time, it's expanded to include things like facilities and marketing and communications and CSR, all sorts of programs that touch the team member experience. The other thing that I think has been really interesting as this career has grown over time is that TELUS International itself as an organization has changed a lot. I think everyone knows that technology changes over time. There's been all sorts of evolution and introduction in digital technology, sweeping the world, all sorts of other things. And over that period of time, TELUS International has gone from being what was at first instance, a more traditional customer experience service provider to now what is a leading global digital customer experience service provider and partner for some of the largest, most disruptive brands on the planet today. And that has meant a really evolving ecosystem within TELUS International in how we support our customers and a real evolution of the technology and insights that we use to deliver customer experience journeys. So for that, it's meant all sorts of learning and evolution on my career. We've gone from what was particularly or perhaps quite standard recruitment process to something that's 100% virtualized, absolutely technology enabled. We've created learning programs that are customized, curated, team member driven, automated, available in person, community support, as well as an online experience. It's been a journey that has grown in what I've been able to do and where I've been lucky enough to take on new accountabilities. But it's also been a really exciting journey because the evolution of our business has been really, really interesting and exciting as well.
That's amazing. Can you tell us more about your current day-to-day work at TELUS International?
So I get asked this question fairly often, and what I like to start with is there is no typical day in my world at TELUS International. There is always something new and different. We operate today in 28 countries around the world with almost 70,000 team members. So what's happening around the globe impacts what we do every day. What's going on with our amazing customers, which is different every day, whether we're talking to telecommunications and media customers, games customers, healthcare, travel and hospitality, what's going on in those verticals is different. So what happens on a day-to-day basis is always new, different, and exciting. I will say that my days generally start early and end late, but there's lots of flexibility in the middle. My role involves a lot of meetings, a lot of presentations, a lot of looking at what we do today for our customers, what's happening in the world around us, and how my teams are going to all work together to build the programs, the initiatives, the learning opportunities, the communication plans, the recruitment resources, the compensation and benefit programs, all of those things that help us be an employer of choice for not just women in tech, but communities in tech in general, and ensuring that we are really cognizant of and getting day-to-day feedback from our teams as to what their challenges are and working on what the solutions are to ensure that we have the right people with the right skills, the right motivations, and the right competencies in order for us to meet the growing and changing demands of TELUS International as an organization, not just today, but well into the future as well.
Totally. And what is more amazing is that you lead people from all type of backgrounds, and you are the leader of a global organization and have grown with it. Can you tell us more about how TELUS International has supports you as a woman in leadership?
Sure. One of the things that I think is most helpful for me as a woman in leadership, given I have kids, I have a family, I have a husband, I have two great dogs too. I like to throw that in sometimes. But one of the things that is most helpful for me is flexibility. And I think also being technology enabled and an organization focused on digital transformation and automation, we have a lot of internal practices, processes, tools that allow for flexibility of how and where you do work. So for me personally, the opportunity to, as I say, start quite early in the morning or end quite late if I'm meeting with my teams or customers in other parts of the globe. But then the flexibility to have some time in the middle of my day so I can chat with my kids when they come home from school. So that flexibility of ensuring that we are focused on what the deliverables need to be, how I'm interacting with my teams, ensuring that I'm available to support my teams and know what's going on, but to use technology to facilitate collaboration and communication offline or real time always. Really does create a certain amount of flexibility in my role, and also something that we as an organization are very focused on ensuring that where it is possible, where we can meet our customers' expectations and our team members' expectations by having additional flexibility in the workplace, I think that is a really important differentiator. We talked a lot also about how I've kind of evolved in this role. And so for me, the other thing that I love about TELUS International is how we have offered learning and development opportunities. So sometimes I want to get closer to and understand newer emerging technologies, even though I might not use it every day. And so the opportunity to have some self-directed learning programs to connect with a community of women or other learners who are interested in some of the same things I am has also been something that I've found to be very supportive. We're never successful on our own, being successful as a community and a team. And so I also really, really do enjoy the platforms and programs that are in place to encourage that collaboration and communications. I have to take the step myself, but the opportunity is there to support that additional information gathering and connection that really helps us all learn and grow.
That's amazing. Marilyn, in looking at your impressive resume, including an MBA, I do find it interesting that you don't have any specific tech certifications, and yet a lot of what TELUS International does is very tech focused. Can you explain more about how you navigate your role as Chief Corporate Officer?
Sure. So I think the first thing is I don't have any technical certifications. You're absolutely right. But I do believe that I have skills and competencies and experience that contribute to the tech community because some of my skills are different. In TELUS International today, I will say I have a lot of colleagues with amazing technology skills, with amazing qualifications. Our CIO is an actual rocket scientist. So there is absolutely technologists and those with amazing technology expertise, education within this organization. I just don't happen to be one of them. However, I am never afraid to ask questions. I'm never afraid to be educated. The opportunity for others to help ensure that we as an organization understand what is going on in the world around us, what is new and emerging technologies, how they impact and influence us as an organization, as well as our customers. Absolutely, that skill set exists. I think what's unique for me is I consider myself to be a contributing member of the women in technology community. But in that community, my role is to ensure that I am tech savvy, ensure that I am up to date, ensure that I understand what it is that creates a meaningful work environment for people who want to work in that tech environment and are techie themselves. And if I can better understand and create those environments that will deliver learning and development opportunities for people in technology that find those learning opportunities meaningful. If I can work with my teams to create a culture and an environment where people feel supported and inspired and that they can continue to grow their careers, that's my contribution to the world of tech within TELUS International. If I can create an employer brand and communicate it externally so people understand what those opportunities are for people with technology skills to be successful, inspired, and to learn and grow within TELUS International, then I've done my job well. So you're absolutely right. I'm not a technologist. I am fascinated and curious about tech. I am inspired by those around me that are absolutely way smarter on this front than I am, but I love to gather that information and insight. And I think my role is different. The competencies and skills I bring create a tech-friendly workplace and a culture and environment that is welcoming, inspiring, and I think attractive for women in tech. And that's what I can bring to the table.
And definitely, you are a valuable member of the women in technology communities. And many of our Women Who Code members are looking to grow into leadership positions and need more role models of women in leadership like you. What could you tell us to all of us that what is the best way to lead a team?
So a few things. I think, first of all, one of the things I've just talked about is I have a leadership role in an organization that is very technology focused, yet I am not a technologist. So I think to become a leader in an organization, any organization, quite honestly, you don't have to have every single piece of knowledge and insight yourself. When you're building and leading a team, the real skill set is how do you bring that team together? How do you share their resources? How do you create a common vision? How do you communicate and support them? How do you give them the information they need? How do you create an environment where that team is eager to fulfill their part and contribution to the overall goals of the organization, and they have to understand what their goals are, what they do to contribute. And so those leadership skills and competencies around communication, around project management, around bringing together technology and process design, all of those things can happen in a really formal way in organizations. But what I like to encourage others about as well is they happen in an informal way as well, all the time. And so I think sometimes we get a little bit intimidated by wanting a really big leadership role or that next title or a very formal remit of leadership. And what I like to encourage people around is that just start, just take on some additional projects, some ad hoc initiatives in your organization where it's bringing a small team together, maybe of peers, but it requires some coordination, some leadership, some communication, some encouragement, finding of resources, removing obstacles, all those leadership traits. And there's also lots of opportunities to do that in your community, even if it's not at work. TELUS International has a lot of programs where we connect with and do work in the communities where our team members live. Those are opportunities to develop, lead, and manage tutoring programs and mentoring programs in schools. All of those require leadership skills. And so if you perhaps have an opportunity to do something in your community that isn't necessarily within your organization or your job, but it's where you can learn and develop leadership skills. And so I really encourage people to not be afraid. If it's something you're interested in doing, try it, seek out small opportunities at first instance, and build that skill set over time, because there's lots of different ways to acquire and develop those skills.
Definitely, and that's a wonderful answer. Thank you for that. And you are an active advocate for inclusion and employment. Could you tell us more about what TELUS International is doing about these topics?
Absolutely. So there's a few. So the first one I'm going to highlight is what I refer to as our TELUS International community boards. where we actually have bring together members of the community, so not just folks that are part of TELUS International, but members of the community who are connected to nonprofit organizations, who are connected to the community and the organizations that are locally working to drive diversity, inclusion, and community support to underserved parts of the communities. And we bring those folks together to make decisions as to where and how TELUS International distributes their contributions to community, their dollars. And so having those not be our decisions, but those be the decisions of the people who are resident in the communities, I think makes it more powerful. We fund small grassroots organizations because they often get overlooked by large grants to come from big charitable organizations, but small grassroots have lots and lots of impact for families, kids, educational initiatives across those smaller communities. And we also partner with and support organizations like this, Women Who Code, Work for Her, all sorts of those around the globe, where we believe there's real win-win partnerships to be had. Organizations like Women Who Code, who inspire and provide opportunities for women globally to develop new skills and to take on new challenges, are absolutely essential to raising the bar on the opportunities available for women. And out of that, we often recruit from our connections with Women Who Code, which means that we get amazing, talented people around the globe who are ready for that next opportunity and ready for their growing careers in technology. It's not all technology related for us. We also have long-time partnerships with an organization in the Philippines called Gawad Kalinga that's purpose is to eliminate homelessness. All of these other opportunities to connect with our communities and work with NGOs create that foundation of addressing community challenges around safety and housing and education, which I think help to prepare and support all of those communities so that children and families can have access to educational and development opportunities across the globe.
That's amazing. Thank you for that. And now we know the Marilyn as a leader. Can you please tell us what are you passionate about outside of work?
Sure, I can absolutely share that. It might not be super exciting, but I will absolutely share. As I said before on the flexibility front, I love the opportunity to have some flexibility in my days and my time, to spend time with my husband, my kids, and my dogs. So I have two teenagers. They're very different. My son is a sportsaholic, so I spend time, and I have spent a lot of time in basketball courts, basketball gyms, volleyball. He's now into jiu-jitsu and things like that. So we as a family like to be quite outdoorsy and sporty. My daughter loves theater and music. And so we also like to go out to the theater. We also like to I think support her ambitions, whether it's playing the piano, playing instruments, singing, things of that nature. So I love to do and seek out those community opportunities to support her in doing that locally in our own communities. I live in Vancouver, outdoor lifestyle, long walks with the dogs on the beaches, absolutely. And in a quiet moment, I really do love a good mystery that allows me to turn off my brain and just be entertained by reading a great story, often accompanied by a nice glass of red wine.
That's awesome. And great thing is that you have a great work-life balance. And Marilyn, last but not least, if you could say only one thing to motivate women in technology, what will be your best pro tip?
So what I love to remind women, and particularly women in tech, is that I think women in tech rock. They are rock stars. So taking the initiative to develop a career and to take on challenges that sometimes feel daunting, to invest in your development, invest in your education, and to develop skills that are super marketable. I am so inspired by women in tech, as I said before, because I don't really have those technology skills. So I am inspired by, and I think we all need to give ourselves credit sometimes for exactly how awesome we are and how awesome women are for taking on roles within technology and continuing to build that education and skill set along the way. My one pro tip would also be, we've talked a little bit about, I feel like I am connected to the tech community and play a role. So the other tip I will say is that there are lots of different roles that require different skills and different ways to contribute to the tech community, and different ways for women to be an active part of the tech community. All jobs are not the same, all roles are not the same. So seek out those ones that align most to your interests, seek out those ones that align most to your passions, and take a step and give it a try, because there is a role in the world of tech and the community of tech that can inspire almost anyone. So I would encourage everyone to have that broad view, find those roles that are inspiring for them, and jump on in.
Definitely. That's amazing. An amazing tips. Thank you so much, Marilyn. There is a lot of things that we have learned from you today. And thank you everyone for watching this episode.
Thanks, Luz. It was a great chat.